Hello, we're going to talk about how many posts you need to start for a niche site. This counts for like an Amazon affiliate site or probably other sites that sort of follow the same sort of format. But I'm going to talk about Amazon affiliate sites today. So I think folks could hear me. I see we have a handful of people on and a couple of quick announcements. So, number one, my course, Five Figure Niche Site, is open for enrollment this week. Depending on when you watch this, you may or may not be able to get in. But if you're watching this within the next couple days, that's April 16th through the 20th is the enrollment period. And I think today is the 18th, if I recall correctly. So basically, you have a couple days to hop in if you are interested in creating your own Amazon affiliate site. There's a link in the description below. And generally, people really, like the course. If people do the work, they usually come out pretty well. So we have Alwyn, we have Duke. Thanks, Duke, for being a moderator. And we have Success Roller Success Roller Coaster and Josh as well. So welcome everyone for hopping on. And we're going to get to it here pretty quick. The other announcement, aside from Five Figure Niche Site, is tomorrow I'm planning on publishing 2 more keyword golden ratio success stories. Duke is one of them, so that's pretty awesome, and another guy named John. So 2 pretty cool stories, and I'm excited to share these interviews. I'm going to put them in the same playlist, and hopefully, you'll be able to check those out. The success stories were like really well received, and people enjoy those. I know when I was getting started, those are the things that really inspired me. And it wasn't like, it's interesting to hear the stories of people making $200,000 in a week or some kind of crazy thing like that. Very interesting, but it is completely unrelatable. And usually those people have like some headline story like that, but really they've been working on whatever skill they've mastered for like a decade or something like that. So these crazy stories aren't very relatable. The success stories for the keyword golden ratio are extremely relatable. It's like $1,000 a month or a couple $1,000 a month after putting in a tremendous amount of work for 8 months, that sort of thing. So it's very relatable. I'll just be redundant and say it's relatable because these are people who are like just a few months ahead of you, not like 8 years ahead of you. So coming out tomorrow, unless something unusual happens, but check your stream. Be sure, if you don't have notifications turned on for the channel, if you click the bell, you'll be sure to get notifications. So it's not just enough to subscribe. If you're really into the content, then you should click the bell so you'll get a notification. And I think it helps me, right? So you'll get an extra notification, but it does help me. So, and the notification is supposed to be helpful, by the way. Dennis is on as well. It's been a while, Dennis. Good to have you on. Okay, I'm going to cut to the chase right here. So how many posts do you need to launch a site? Basically, 10. All right. I'm just going to come out with the answer. I know most of the time I go deep into a long explanation before I tell you the answer. Maybe that's the smarter way to keep you on longer. But 10 posts. Now, I realize this is, against what most people describe. Now, a lot of the, other information that I've seen is to, find a whole lot of keywords, right? I have another, post or another video about how many keywords you need. You probably only need like 20 or so. All right. So you probably only need about 20 because you're only going to post about, the 10 best of those, the easiest to rank. Those are the ones you're going to publish first. All right. So that is what I recommend, 10 posts. The opposing view is more like, we're going to build a very large site. We're going to build an authority site. We're going to make it, super long content, 4,000 words for every post. And by the way, you need to publish like 50 posts to start with. We're going to, bulldog our way through it. We're going to use brute force to really push through. And you're going to need money to, hire writers, or you're going to have to write it all yourself. And it's going to take you, a few months to do it. Actually, imagine this. Let's say you're supposed to launch a site with 50 articles. And let's say you have unlimited resources, money to spend to hire people to do it. It's not a slam dunk, right? It's not necessarily easy to go out there and hire a couple writers to write 50 articles. Let's look at a couple scenarios, right? If you hire, say, one writer to write 50 articles, well, it's going to take them a little time, especially if you're writing something longer. It's maybe going to take them 50 days straight, right? So at that point, that's a little while. Now, if you hire a few writers, let's say you hire 5 writers and they could all write, 10 articles a week. Well, we've cut it down quite a bit, right? We've cut it down to 1 week, but now you have to figure out how to manage 5 writers. That's not easy. Have you ever had like, well, I don't have kids, but for people that have kids, I'm sure there's a time, where you got to play zone defense. There's more kids asking questions than you could deal with. And you're just like, all right, it's a little overwhelming. I'm sure I've seen that. I haven't gone through it personally, but the point is, even if you had unlimited resources to hire people to do the work for you, that by itself is a skill that you have to develop. So, launching with 10 pieces of content for me, right, it sort of removes a lot of the complications. We often think we need to scale. Let's figure out how to scale right away. I want to, build 5 sites at a time, and I want to, launch a site with a ton of content. I don't want to have a small micro niche site, stuff like that. We get ideas in our head and we try and run before we know how to walk. Fill in whatever analogy you want there. Basically, if you launch with 10 pieces of content, you're going to be able to like get some work done where you could actually like make some money. Now, this is part of my project management like methodology. I'm borrowing some ideas from like Agile and I guess like the lean startup kind of thing as well. And I see we also have Brian on. Brian, good to have you. Feeding a baby while watching. So cool. Good to have you on live. And basically I call it the content traffic profit sprint. So again, borrowing ideas from agile project management, the lean startup, and like lean methodology, we are like trying to do a little piece of like the full like life cycle of a small piece of the site, right? We want a piece of a product that can actually make money, right? We don't want to publish 50 pieces of content, then move on to the promotion and networking and link building, and then hope, the money comes in like a year later. We want to do 10 pieces of content, do a little bit of promoting to that 10 pieces of content and make a little bit of money. Then, number one, we get a few benefits, but number one, you get a small win pretty quick, right? You see that you're able to network, you see that the model works because you're getting traffic, and hopefully you're making your first few dollars online quickly, right? Instead of waiting for a year, that's going to happen in like, a month or two. If you're doing a little work each day, it's going to happen in a month or two. And then at that point you're making a little money so that you're able to reinvest some of the earnings, right? Or you're going to feel more confident, right? I think some people are going to have to reinvest the earnings and slowly grow that in its own like ecosystem. Or if you have a little extra money to invest, then you feel confidence that you can put some money into content, publish it, follow, the sprint again, and then keep growing the revenue. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And the point is like you can continue doing that sprint over and over again. Maybe the next time you do 20 articles instead of 10. Or 50. Maybe, like I said, maybe you have a little bit of a budget. Maybe you're getting a tax return. Maybe you're getting a tax return and you could spend a few $100 on it. I'm not sure, right? We don't know like everyone's situation, but if you have the ability, then maybe you do have like way more confidence and you're like, hey, I'm gonna publish 200 articles, right? Some people do that. Cool. So if you have any questions about how many posts you need to launch your site or anything like that, let me know. And I see Success Roller Coaster had a hard choice to either watch Grant Cardone or myself. So I'm not sure if Success Roller Coaster stayed around. I'm not sure. And let's see. Jay Bonner says thumbs up. Thank you for that. Adil says you made your first KGR post. How long does it take? Well, give it some time. It should rank pretty quickly. I would suggest a deal. Search on my channel for improving rankings for KGR posts. There's information on that. But basically, if you just published it, you need to be patient and then give it some time. And if you have questions about like the topic of the day, those are preferred. If you have other questions, I actually set up a form for us to have questions on Friday. That's like the free for all. That's the free for all for Q&A. And let me just find the link for the form, the Google form, and then I get it in a spreadsheet. And it's a little more organized and it doesn't come in via email, which is a very good thing for me. So let me get the link for everybody here. And it's an ugly link. I'll tell you, I need to create a bit.ly link. Maybe I already have a bit.ly link. All right. Let me So I see some other questions coming through here. So Emmanuel says, how much should you pay a writer for 1,000 words? However much you want. I usually pay about $15, but you have to know your own constraints and figure out what's right for you. There's a whole other video on that as well. So I encourage you to search for the question in the search bar and you should be able to find that video. VR VR Doodle says, should you launch your site with a blog post already written and posted, or should it slowly be added to the site? It really doesn't matter. I say, basically post it as quickly as you can. There's no advantage to trickle out the content or anything like that. No advantage. So very, very good question on that. There used to be some like I don't know, like a long time ago, there used to be some advantage, I think, to publish on a regular basis. On YouTube, for example, it helps to publish on a regular basis. Like the more you publish, the better. But for blogs, it doesn't matter. I've literally published everything all at once, and it's totally fine. And next question. When you say 20 keywords, does that mean 20 search phrases? Yokohama Life, good to have you on. Yes, 20 search phrases. Yep. Preferably like 80% of those would be keyword golden ratio terms. Adil is asking more about the keyword golden ratio. Again, Adil, I highly encourage you to save the questions that are unrelated to like Friday. Save it for Friday. But I'm so nice, I'm just going to answer anyway. In the form, I put the bit.ly link into the description. So if you have a question that is not related for today, I love the questions, just put it in the form. Previous post tweaking with a KGR works, or one should write a new post. It depends on the case. If it makes more sense to write a new article, then do that. But editing and improving articles is a very good thing to do. Ravi is on from India. What's up? All right. Justin, good to have you on. Do I have an outline for informational posts that I use or send to writers? No, I don't, but I have seen that a couple times. So Justin, that may be something that I create for. Justin is one of the the fine students for this enrollment period. So he gets the white glove treatment. And Justin, I may come up because I've seen that question a couple times. So I may put something together, but just in general, it would be like how to write a blog post. So it would be the same kind of a format of a normal blog post. You're just trying to, provide information, answer questions, and that sort of thing. But it doesn't mean that I can't put together an informational post template that can be helpful. Here's the thing. If you're hiring a writer, they should be qualified as a writer. Carlos, I hire writers from Upwork, $15, right? Usually I get some sort of person with a journalistic background, and they do, a great job. So that said, Justin, if you're hiring someone who is, they're advertising themselves as a professional writer, they should be able to, put that together for you. An article that is. So next, Adil says, okay, just a comment, but nice. All right. So I see we have like 50 people on, a lot more people joined, which is cool. Which I'll just do a little bit of a recap. So hopefully we're like going to be able to not lose everyone for answering the same thing again. But I'm saying start a site with 10 posts. You don't need more than that. You probably need about 20 keywords, and then you pick the best 10. And then from there, you could launch. And we do the content traffic profit sprint, which I could draw out here. So it's, I have these markers in a legal pad. And the thing is, this is like I mentioned, a project management idea where you want to not like work in a silo. Like it's called a waterfall method, where you like the complete phase of work for, say, content, where you publish 50 or 100 posts, and then you move on to the next stage. And by the time you get to the next stage, you may have realized, oh, I made some mistakes. Maybe I found keywords that weren't that good, but I didn't know that they weren't that good because I'm not experienced enough to know. And then you move on to, trying to get even more traffic. And then, you actually messed up on step 3 out of 100. And if you would have just, instead of published, 50 articles, if you just would have published 10, on the next 10, on article 11, you could have made the improvements that you needed to do, thus learning from your mistakes, right? That's the big thing here. Like, we're getting a full life cycle of a website in 10 articles instead of 50. So instead of having like a year-long like learning process, you have like a 6-week learning process, and then you continually improve over and over again, like throughout, and you can correct your mistakes as you move forward. What you don't want to do is make the same mistake 50 times. It's better to make it just 10 times, and then you can fix the 10 and not do it again. So that's sort of the idea, right? So you're learning from your mistakes instead of like continually going on making those mistakes and having to go back and fix many things. So there's the diagram. So it's just a cycle. You just do it over and over again. And Emmanuel says, you search for the video on the amount to pay writers, but you couldn't find it. Do I have the title? Work a little harder to find it, Emmanuel. I don't know off the top of my head, but if you, it may be, there's a lot of videos where I reference how much to pay writers, and there's no set, amounts. I'm just, 15 is sort of the sweet spot for me for 1,000 words. But if you, if you find a better writer, if you want to pay more, that's fine. A lot of people have told me they're not able to find writers for $15. I don't know why. People in the course seem to be doing fine, like with those, with the model that we have within the course, they're able to hire people just fine. It seems to be okay. So Emmanuel, like I said, just search for it a little bit more. Okay, and Brian says, you find it helps to give writers an author account to your site. They publish as pending, and you review, publish, and make it live whenever it makes sense for you to do so. Yes. And I have a slightly tweaked model, a little bit different, but same sort of idea. Basically, I have writers do the writing, and then I have the content manager or editor, right? They will draft it in WordPress, put it in draft mode, and same deal is what Brian has. So I'll hop in there. I have like 30 articles to publish, and I'll just publish them all at one time. All right, next we have Otto says, you have a website with 28 articles and it makes $25 in AdSense, but 150 in affiliate sales, but not using Amazon. Interesting. Otto says, is this live or a replay? This is live, baby. You made it to a live one. Welcome. All right. Lance is saying, oh, Lance, what's up? Good to have you on. Yokohama Life's reply. Sorry, Lance's reply to Yokohama. Yes, keywords in a search phrase. Yep, cool. Thanks. Um, Spirito says, sorry if it's a common question, that it's okay to have common questions. However, Spirito, there's a link in the description. It's a bit.ly link, and you could put this link in for Friday. This is a good one. How can I avoid Google blocking me after a few all in title searches? Thanks. You will have a hard time doing that. So basically, and if people have done a lot of keyword research using the keyword golden ratio, you'll find that this will happen after like a few minutes. So you have to get other IP addresses. You have to use proxies, basically. And this is why, number one, this is why the keyword golden ratio works, because we can't just use a tool to automate it in an easy way. You can, I mean, conceptually, right? All you have to do is set up, I have a software background, but all you would have to do is set up like, you know, uh, several different proxies, say 25 different proxies. I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but if you already know how to do this, then, you know, you do it. But you would set up 25 different proxies. Like you could, you know, purchase access to an IP address, right? That's all it is. And then you make the queries from these different IP addresses. I don't know like what time period you have to do, but you could probably, you know, just schedule everything out, use different proxies to do different calls for the all in title, and then you get your data back, right? It's a straightforward problem to solve if you're a coder, if you know software, if you can do some scripting, it's probably approachable. It's not worthwhile for me to do it. You know, it's interesting to talk about software and create a tool where I could like charge people for, you know, access and all that stuff. I kind of have low interest in that currently right now. Plus, if one automates that process and then it's a commodity, the value of each of the keywords goes down. So to make it a manual process is good for everyone, right? And Google doesn't want us to do it. You're literally like trying to find a way around it. So basically, Spirito, if what I said about proxies doesn't make sense, then there's no way you could avoid it. That is part of the beauty. And Brian also says you find lots of writers who can give you 1,500 words for 20 bucks. So that is right around the same like price range. And I think that's pretty good. All right, Nadil says, you love the content. Thank you for saying that. And the way I make the point clear. Thanks. You wish I published a DVD of all the videos. That's interesting. That'd be pretty funny. So Duke says you've never been blocked, but you've had to solve the captcha. So just keep your search rate down. And same for me. I haven't been straight up blocked, but I do a few in a row. I get the captcha, and then you know what? At that point, I'm like, I'm going to take a break. So come back in 30 minutes or later that day or whatever, and do a little bit more. But typically, you know, it's pretty straightforward. Oh, and you know what, Spirito? There's a simpler solution, right? So you could potentially sign up for a VPN service. Like I use Viper VPN for like when I'm in a coffee shop, but there are tons of VPN services. So if you were just signing in from a different IP address, like across the country, or like whatever server, um, you know, it may be in, I would suggest to use a IP address or server from within the country that you want to be like searching on Google, but that would be a way around it as well. Okay. So VR Doodles and Hussein, can you both please put your questions into the form for Friday? I will quickly answer them here. So, VR Doodles, do I run ads for affiliate sites? No. Yeah. So I don't. I think you really have to be, you know, an expert in running ads to be able to retarget in an effective way so that you can make money on the ads. It turns out Amazon just the commissions are not high enough for you to be able to do like some sort of arbitrage. So yeah. Hussein is asking about how to approach other bloggers for guest posts. Search for guest posts on my channel, and there will be several videos on it where I go in depth. But basically, in the beginning, how do you approach them? You just email them, send them a message on Twitter or something like that. Okay. And I feel like we're degrading a little bit with the questions. But you know what? Here, I'll make a quick announcement. We have 53 people on. People like the Q&A. So I can't fight it. Got to listen to the people. What I will say is Five Figure Niche Site, my premium course is out this week. Do take a look. There's a link in the description. I do tons of free content like these Q&As where we seemingly, unfortunately, I'm not calling anyone out specifically, but people do ask questions that they literally could just like watch the video on it. I still answer them. So I'm moving I'm moving towards like trying to get it into the forums and have sort of like content that is relevant. The problem, and here's why, like Rajit and Hussein and VR Doodles, the reason why answering these questions here now isn't good for anyone except for like you right here right now is the title of this video is like how many posts do you need, and once someone like gets that answered and they're interested in that topic, when we start answering questions about the keyword golden ratio, it's not relevant, right? So it's hard for people to find that information. um, it doesn't mean it's not helpful, right? Some people do stick around and watch it, but that's the reason why. Like, it's not me being a jerk, right? Although I can be a jerk sometimes. That's the reason why. And I am so much not a jerk that I just answer them anyway. So, Rajit, you have a site making $1,000 a month. Should you add more posts or wait? Rajit, before I answer, what do you think? What do you think I will say? Otto says about the keyword golden ratio. What's a good average of monthly searches for a KGR? You find a bunch of 10 monthly searches. Are those worth it? The answer is yes. Any of them are worth it. Um, Josh says, how much weight do you put on on-site SEO? A lot of weight. It is just as important as off-page SEO. Brian says, you suggest doing all in search titles for a few minutes at a time, multiple times a day? Yep, that is exactly what you should do. Justin says, for brand new sites, you don't wait to index them, right? Correct. Just let it fly. Josh is asking, when I had a content editor, how long did it take to prep and optimize and deploy a full post? 3 minutes. All right. Okay, Rajit, you're making frowny faces. So, what do you think my answer will be? What do you think you should do? So, while you're typing that in, Rajit, I'll mention again for the people like hopping in and like just joining up. There's a Bitly form or a Bitly link that goes to a form where people can submit their questions for the Friday Q&A. So I'll be able to like do the questions a little bit more effectively and that sort of thing. All right, Miss Shawnee P says, you would like to create your first site. Which video should you watch first to get started? All right. I believe there is a video called like four it's like 4 steps to make $500 a month, something like that. Um, and I don't know the name of it right off the top of my head. Okay, and Sakit, can you Sakit, could you explain what your context of your question is? And by the way, Shawnee, no worries if it's a Friday question. Just the fact that you're acknowledging that, much respect to you. Sakit, I'm not sure the context of your question. Rajit, you know what? I saw before you retracted your message. I saw it, and maybe this isn't the right channel for you. I'm sorry. Basically the answer is always yes. If you think you should reinvest and add more content, like yes, try it. And Rajit, if you can't critically think on your own, this channel is not for you. So there are other channels which would be perfect for you. They will spoon feed you information, but if you're not willing to, research and do the work on your own, maybe not the right channel. Sorry to be blunt with you, but you know what? You were blunt with me, so I assume you could handle it. All right. Dennis has advice for Rajit. You would add articles without question. More articles mean more traffic. Yeah, more profits. That's right, Dennis. And Brian says, oh, this is interesting. This may seem crazy, but you suggest publishing nearly blank posts with the titles and slug set. No index the blank pages until your writers have contact for the page. Huh. Interesting. D cards on. What's up? And then Brian further says once content is added to the page, then you could index it and it makes it easy to build internal links to pages ASAP. Oh, that's really interesting. Never thought of that. I mean, one would have to have the architecture in mind, and I know Brian, you have some chops. All right, and okay, cool. Dennis is saying always invest in yourself. Duke is encouraging to, if you're making $1,000 a month, add more content. Rajit, hopefully you took that in a good spirit. All right. Josh is asking, I've dealt with a lot of aspiring affiliates. What would you say is our top bottlenecks preventing success here? Okay. I'll just mention two to really focus in. So number one, people really need to be able, and I'm harping on it today. The people that can find answers on their own by doing as much research as possible is really good. Like if you can, you're armed with YouTube and Google, if you could go find information and figure stuff out on your own, I mean, you're going to win, right? Like for whatever you're going to work on. If, let's say your crawl space floods and you're trying to figure out like what kind of pumps you need and how to solve problems, which is a real problem when the water's rising towards your furnace. Like if you could figure out how to solve problems, that's really good, right? So you have to know how to solve problems, look at it critically, is busting Rajit's chops a little bit about thinking critically. And yeah, I mean, I think that is one of the number one things. And close second, and I don't know which one is number one or number two actually, is like just continuing to work on it. Everything's going to take longer than you think. I try and emphasize that a lot. Everything's going to take longer than you think. It's going to take more effort. You're going to make more mistakes than you think you will. We all think we're very smart and we've accomplished a lot in whatever a thing we're like an expert in. But if you're learning something new, like you're going to make mistakes and you're not going to understand stuff. You're going to think, well, I'm a really, like I said, I have some background in like software and I had like IT jobs and I was thinking, oh, you know what? I'm a little smarter than other people. Probably not. I'm probably not smarter than very many people, but the longevity and like the fact, like I said, this thing here where we're going back and correcting mistakes along the way instead of just like blindly publishing a whole bunch of content before we know it's going to work or not. You publish a little bit of content, 10 posts, move forward, get some feedback from Google, from the real world, and then you keep pushing. So those are the two things. All right. Amin says for the first 10 articles, is it enough to build a few white hat links to the homepage, or do you have to go the extra mile and build links for each post? You don't have to build links for each post, but you probably should like pick one or two and then build links to those. Links to the homepage are fine as well. Okay. So gotcha. Here was the question. So when I didn't have a content manager, how much time did it take to publish a post? It took about an hour to 2 hours. Sakit, I have coffee today. I have coffee. It's morning time here. It's like 10:30 in the morning, so coffee. But later on today, I'm having a beer tasting with some of my friends around here. Adil says, how much sandbox period will the 10 post take? Probably 6 months, but the sandbox is a little bit different than, for, like, keyword golden ratio terms, because you will be able to rank and you will be able to get some traffic, and, I suggest a deal. Take a look at the videos, the success story videos that came out a few weeks ago. There's a playlist, and basically, like, some people were able to get traffic and make a sale within, like, 30 days, right? They only made, like, 50 cents or a few dollars or something like that. But if you put in constant effort for, like, 8 months like Ellen did, she quickly grew, right? It wasn't a 100 and then 200 and then 225 and then 300 and then 325. It's like 100, 500, 800, 1800, 3000. Like, it grows much faster the more work you do, right? So the more work you do, the better off it's going to be. And Josh says, you've noticed the 80-20 rule seems to be in effect. 20% make all the profits, 80% try. What's the difference between us and them? I think my previous answer definitely stands. Otto says, maybe you missed it, but what's the ideal number of posts for Amazon affiliate site for a site to make at least $100 a month? You know what? I've never aimed to make $100 a month. So I'm not sure, but I mean, if you're only aiming, I'm going to reframe your question because I know you want to ask something a little bit different. I would say if you have 10 posts, like, you should be able to make a few $100s a month with 10 posts. Now it's going to take a little time to get there. You'd make more money faster if you had more posts. But I mean, if you want to hit $100 a month, you don't need much content, to be honest with you. If you want to, the site that was featured in Project Go White Hat that was sold for 235,000, right? We were making 10K a month with like 45 posts. We added more posts, we added a lot more content, and then it made a lot more money. But basically, you don't need that much content to make $100 a month. Rajit says, the number of posts has no relation to the revenue generated. It's all about the quality. If it was so easy, everybody would have 10,000 posts. Yeah, more or less. And Justin says, do you use interlinking? Yes, that is very important. And do I put affiliate links in right away? It doesn't really matter. Usually not, usually not. And Justin, in the course, we go step by step. So you won't have to, make any guesses on this stuff at all. Oh, and Peter just finished work and you're jumping on. Awesome. Sakit says it's been more than 2 months for one of your affiliate sites. Some articles are ranked 50th. What's my advice? Should I concentrate on blogs that are 5th or 6th position? Yeah. So what I usually do is I recommend that you, like, find what is working okay and then make it work even better. You'll end up wasting time if you're like, all right, here's like the worst performing stuff. Even if it improves a lot, it may still never, like, if you get it to number 11, I mean, that's great. You moved it up a lot, but it's, meaningless. Brian says the first couple paragraphs of each post, if you had a call to action to look at another one of your first 10 posts, a few visitors will get those internal links, will speed things up too. Yep. And Brian's dropping some advanced knowledge, so be sure to apply this if you know what you're doing. Rajit says all 30 of your articles are over 7,000 words. It took 4 months to write them. Awesome. Cool. All right. Any other questions about, like, the number of posts to start? And if you're just joining or you joined late, tomorrow I'm planning on publishing 2 more success stories, keyword golden ratio success stories. Really cool. Duke's one of them, one of our fine um, moderators here, and John is another. I don't think John's on today, but publishing them tomorrow. So pretty cool stories. And Duke has an interesting background with some viral websites, so it's interesting to hear about that. He shares some like knowledge that he learned in the viral sort of sphere and how to apply it to write better titles for our niche sites, right? So that's kind of cool, taking those skills and putting them together. And then John, hey Georgie, it's okay. Hey, sorry. And then John has kind of an interesting story because he's been persevering. And back to Josh, like to your question about like who becomes successful. So like John had been working on sites for a while, and he like kept iterating through like different models and stuff, and nothing really seemed to work until the keyword golden ratio. And he quickly ramped up once he started applying it, per the formula directly. He's ramped up to, I'm trying to remember, something like $400 a month. And like he's been working on it for a while. Like I said, he persevered through like all sorts of, adversity in his personal life and otherwise. All right, Peter says, you have an off topic question. If possible, Peter, follow the bit.ly link, put it into the form, and ask it now as well. So I'll answer it now for you, but also put it into the Q&A for Friday. If we have a deal, I'll answer it now. And Jaron's on, what's up? Wolf says, can you have an affiliate site with just one decent post? Will it grow by itself just like any X amount of posts would? I don't know. I've never tried that. I would avoid it. I would aim a little bigger, right? Why just one? It sounds like you're looking for the minimum amount to do. And if you're thinking that way, it's probably not a good business model. But yeah, you should probably do more, right? Do more than one. And my man Derek is on. How's it going? Derek, I'm slightly envious of the weather. It snowed like just a couple days ago. Pretty chilly this morning. We're still in like winter time. And Derek, what's it like down in? Are you still in like the metro area down south? All right. Peter says, have I ever used Pinterest for traffic generation? No, very little. And it's not my thing, so I don't have any tips. I think like any sort of traffic generation method, you'll have to put effort into it, in that, you have to have like your board set up properly. I'm knowledgeable about it. I've looked into it, tried it for a little while, and I was like, this is pushing a rock uphill. I'm not going to do this. So but you would need to get your board set up properly and basically sort of get things set up and then be active, right? There are tools that you could schedule things, but I don't think it's a good way to go. In Otto, no, it didn't snow in Atlanta. I'm in Montana. I'm in Bozeman, and it's been like record snow this year. So yeah. So, all right. And I see it looks like we have 60 people on. And we have some trolls showing up here, which is fun. And hold on. Boom. Okay. All right. And Robbie says you watch all the YouTube videos. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah. And Derek says the weather is amazing. Yeah. It gets so hot down there and the humidity. But yeah, it's like it's definitely been cool here. And I think what's going to happen is like we're going to go from like winter to like summer. Like there's no spring. We're going to hit summer. It gets hot here in the summer. I mean, it's like in the 90s. So okay, cool. I feel like it's about time to head out of here. And BC Mounts, which is Brian, says another tip for first timers: if your site has 10 posts and only one of them is getting traffic, your next few articles on extremely closely related topics to that one post to build topical relevance. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Cool. So thanks everyone for hopping on. If you have the ability to hit the thumbs up, would really appreciate it. Don't forget there's a link to add your questions for Friday. There's actually I didn't talk about this much, but there's actually a free webinar tomorrow on what is it on? It's I think affiliate format. So let me snag a link, and I know a lot of people do watch the replay. So let me find that. I don't advertise that as much. It's been a nice intimate group the last few times. That'll take just a second. All right. So a couple things. I see some other questions popping up while I am reviewing this link. So basically, Otto says, do I do this full time? Yes. How did I transition from a job? I got laid off. So that makes it much more abrupt. So I got laid off, and that made it pretty straightforward. I'm looking for the link here so I could put it in the description. So if you're watching the replay or if you're watching live, you can click the link to get to the webinar for tomorrow. Everybody have a good day. And Emma is asking about the KGR. So all you need to do is click the link. There's actually a link to the KGR, I believe, KGR playlist in the description. So all you have to do is click that and link for the workshop tomorrow. All right. Thanks, everyone. And we'll catch you tomorrow.